Thank you all for joining this morning. My name is Aryeh Wolman. I'm the Vice President Sales of Multipoint. We are PRTG's distributor in Israel, and we welcome you to this presentation that will be presented by Dennis later on. Just a couple of words about Multipoint. Multipoint is an international distributor. We headquartered in Kfar Saba. We have offices in several countries in Europe, like Greece, Malta, Romania, Dubai, and some others. The company was founded in 2009. We support our customers through very high-level products, plus we have also high-level technical support guys, pre-sales and post-sales, to give you all the necessary information and support for everything you want. This is a short presentation of all the various products that we are providing. As you can see, we are very much invested in data security, in encryption, backup, and cybersecurity protection from all kinds. So everything that you need, we have here. Feel free to contact us anytime you want. This is just a quick sample of some of our customers. As you can see, we have customers from all range of the market, from governments to high-level enterprises, medium-sized companies, and also some small companies as well. We cover the full range for everyone, so everybody can find solutions that will suit his needs from our portfolio. Thank you very much. I'll pass on now to Dennis. If you have any additional needs that you need from us, you can go into our website. You have all the information in various languages, in Hebrew, in English, and also in Arabic for the Arab-speaking countries. And also our phone number. If you want to write it down, you can call us at any time. Thank you, and I will pass on now the torch to Dennis. He will continue the presentation.
Thank you very much, Ari, and yeah, thank you to the Multipoint team also for the invitation, so we can present PRTG to you, to the audience. Also from my side and the whole Paessler team, hello. It's going to be me, Dennis Dietsch, the sales manager for the MEA region, to go through the presentation today. And at the same time, if you have any questions, you can write them in the chat in the Q&A section, and my colleague Irene from Presales and I will be then busy either in between or after my session to respond to all of your questions. So let's make this webinar as interactive as possible, and you can raise all of your questions via chat and Q&A, and we'll of course be happy to respond to all of them. All right, I have my camera on now. I'm going to turn it off now, just to not disturb the presentation, and then I need a verbal confirmation if you can see my screen in a second.
Now we can see that, yes.
Awesome. All right, so I want to start with the agenda for today. So I'm going to present the little information about Paessler AG, so the company behind the product PRTG, and then of course the most part of the presentation will be about PRTG, so our product for monitoring. So quickly starting with Paessler, the company, and a few quick facts. So the company was founded in 1997 from our namesake Dirk Paessler, and it's kind of those 90 stories of a person working from his garage and figuring out how to develop the best monitoring solution available. Because the question at this point in time of Dirk was he needed a monitoring tool that is firstly easy to use and is running on Windows, and at this point in time for him there was nothing available. So he said, well, then I'm going to develop it on my own. So this is how the journey started, and the company is now 24 years old already, and over time we of course further developed the product tremendously according to the IT needs and how IT developed over time. At the moment, we are over 300 employees worldwide. So it's not that we only have people from different countries, but we also have people sitting all around the globe to also fully cover our customer needs 24/7 and in every time zone. I'm going to share a screen at a later point in this presentation. Our biggest markets are the US market, followed by the 3 DACH, UK, and Benelux, which is our European markets. As our headquarter is based in Nuremberg, Germany, the 3 European markets are, let's say, our closest one, where we also have short distance. But nonetheless, we have a very global approach. Our companies that we work with are not just of any size or industry. Also, when we look into the global spread, we have customers all across the globe. And we are happy, especially having a partner network in place in Israel. It is with Multipoint, for example, here to cover all customer and partner needs locally as well. A pretty impressive number, I think, is also the last point, where we say that 70% of the Fortune 100 enterprises worldwide use PRTG already. That's very interesting, because when we think about where PRTG comes from, so Dirk developed the software for small and medium-sized businesses. We saw, especially over the previous years, that more and more customers in the larger space with large infrastructures use PRTG, even though they were not our, let's say, target audience from the beginning. But yeah, we are also shifting our focus here now to cover small, medium-sized businesses as well as the big enterprises. When we look into our global spread, I already mentioned it, we have people all across the globe, and this dark blue button, that's roughly where Nuremberg is. And in the light blue ones, you can see where we have colleagues sitting across the globe. So we have them sitting in Australia, Japan. And then when we go into the Middle East, you can see there's one sitting in Dubai, it shall be. And the red dots, that's pretty interesting. So we also have Paessler Inc. established in the US, so its own entity, as besides the European team from the headquarter, that's our biggest team. So therefore we said, let's also establish an office there. And yeah, we have around 20 colleagues working from the US for us. We have our regional structure is, so we have on the left side the time zone of the Americas with our colleagues there. Then we have the EMEA time zone operating mostly from Nuremberg, Germany, where also Irene and I sit. And then we have the APAC time zone with many colleagues also sitting in Australia. So when there's a customer request coming in, we can cover them from a sales, pre-sales perspective 24/7, as also our customer base is spread across all industries, company sizes, and also globally. So when we look into the history of Paessler, we can say that we have more than 20 years of monitoring experience in the market, and we always developed our product according to the feedback of our customers and partners. So it's a monitoring solution based on the feedback that we received from the market. And at the beginning, Dirk Paessler, he developed PRTG to have a product monitoring his network devices he was surrounded by. But as IT was moving into the virtual machines, into the clouds, and also the next step, moving into the IoT space, the needs for monitoring changed, and we further adapted to it. So I think where we are now, we have a very, very strong monitoring tool, being beyond the classic network monitoring. And over the years, we not just developed our product, but also increased our customer size. And I think that's a pretty impressive number. State of now, we have over 300,000 installations worldwide for PRTG Network Monitor. And yeah, that's our source for feedback and further developing our product, something we are very proud of. We are in close loops with our partners and customers all the time to also prepare PRTG and the new products that are coming for the future. On our website, you will find also our roadmap, and connected to the roadmap, so you can be informed what is going on, what are we developing at the moment. But there's always also a button for a survey. So if you have any recommendations for a certain sensor that we develop or a certain tool, then you're very welcome to just give us feedback and we will consider this together with our product management team. And over the years, we also became a leader in IT monitoring, and several institutions and platforms recognized us as such. And here on this slide, just to mention 4 of them. So we have a Gartner Peer Insight. We got rewarded from IT Central Station as well as Capterra and Trustpilot. And continuously, there are announcements from different media where we got another prize for our monitoring solution. So very reliable product and something that our customers are really happy with, and something that might fit if you're a partner into your portfolio, or if you're a customer joining this webinar, as something that you want to look into from a customer perspective. So that's it from a Paessler overview point of view. I want to jump in now more into the product topic and our product PRTG Network Monitor. And I see some or hear someone talking or noise in the background.
This is me. Thank you, Dennis. This is me, Abdullah Ibrahim from Multipoint Middle East. Thank you. I just want to add one sentence in Arabic for the Arabic speaker. We have here alive. We are in Ramadan month. So رمضان مبارك للجميع، كل عام وانتم بخير وشكرا لمشاركتكم في الويبينار. خليكم معنا، راح تسمعوا شويه عن في الاوفر فيو عن البي ار تي جي. راح نتواصل مع الجميع ان شاء الله على شكل خاص كمان، وخليكم صامدين. Thank you everybody. Dennis, you can take it again.
Can take over again. Yeah, thank you very much, Abdullah.
Thank you.
And in the previous slide, you could see the PRTG Network Monitor, and on the next slide, you can see where PRTG now further developed. So it doesn't stop anymore with the classic network monitoring, and we cover many topics when it comes to the monitoring topic now. To point out a few, we have the classic IT infrastructures, so monitoring routers and switches. There is data center monitoring, which is also an IT-related topic. But when we go further, we have the cloud services that can be monitored. And when we look into PRTG's future, we see it as a unified monitoring solution integrating the IT and the OT world. So here you can already see something that we call the IoT and IIoT space. Here in the IIoT space, it's the industrial Internet of Things compared to the classic IoT space. That's IoT space would be CCTV systems that can be integrated in the monitoring, and IIoT, something like monitoring the factory line, assembly lines in a factory, for example. So we really try to make PRTG a monitoring solution for everyone, beyond the classic IT infrastructure, also going into the markets of IoT and the assembly lines in this world. But also when it comes to medical infrastructures, we have tools that can be used to monitor also in hospitals, for example, medical devices. So you can see monitoring or network monitoring is not the end with our product now. Over the years, we further developed, based on customer feedback, the product in a way that we can monitor, let's say, anything. So what we say is everything that has an IP address can be monitored with PRTG now. And what tools do we use? So many protocols can be used for our monitoring. And again, I want to start with the classic IT protocols, where we have, for example, ping and SNMP. For advanced flow monitoring, we also have flow sensors in place. And when we then go into the IoT space, again, we have the DICOM and the HL7 sensors in place that monitor the medical devices for, let's say, the X-ray machines in the hospital. And MQTT is an interesting protocol when it comes to monitoring the IoT devices. So you can see we have a real broad feature set and use many of the protocols to speak to all the devices to monitor them. So that's from the method point of view. And I want to now look into the architecture to help you understand how the architecture of PRTG looks like. And it all starts here on this side in the corporate LAN with the PRTG core server. And this is where all data is stored, collected, and managed. And this is where you start your monitoring. When you, let's say, want to monitor something outside a firewall, but in the same office building, we have a tool that is called Remote Probe, which you can see over here. It will collect the data outside a firewall, sends it through one port, and the data can be managed back in the PRTG core server where you manage your installation. Using one port makes it also a very secure and lightweight connection, so it's not taking a lot of load from your system. You also might have a branch office that is somewhere else. It can be in the same country, but also globally. Then the remote probe can also be used to monitor this branch office. Let's say you have in Tel Aviv an office, but you also have a branch office in Greece. Then the remote probe can collect the data from the branch office in Greece, sends it back, and the monitoring data can be managed here back in the core server. The connection is encrypted via TLS, and also very interesting is that once there's the internet connection breaks down, the remote probe will continue collecting the data, and once internet is up and running, the data goes also back to the core server. So there's no loss of data, and we are sure that there's always 100% data accuracy. When we look into larger installations, then PRTG is also, or with PRTG is also very easy to scale. I'm using multiple core servers. We have a license in place, so-called Enterprise Monitor license, where different core servers can even be used to be set up in different locations and collecting the data. The advantage here is also that the remote probe is a tool to just collect the data and send it back to the core server. With the PRTG Enterprise Monitor setting up several cores, the different, let's say silos can also be managed individually. And it can be by location, it can also be by topic. So let's say all switches and routers in the office are managed by this one team, and then the CCTV cameras by another team. And then this can also be separated by teams. So that's up to the customers. With this licensing model, the customers at least have the chance, and then they can decide on their own how they want to set it up. A very important tool, either way, how you set your monitoring up, is the word sensor, because the sensor term is very important also when it comes to the licensing. A sensor is one aspect on one device, and it can be, for example, the CPU usage, disk space. It can also be the reachability of a CCTV camera using a ping sensor, for example, or if you want to monitor a healthcare device, the DICOM or HL7 sensors that we developed for this purpose. So one aspect on one device. This is how our licensing works. And the customer at the end decides how many sensors they want to use, which directly translates into how many devices they want to monitor. The features that come with PRTG are in every license, and I want to name a few in the next slides. We thought a licensing by sensor will be the most fair way of licensing. It could also be done by devices, but we said not every aspect of a device might be interesting for a customer, and to be very granular and very specific, we allow the licensing by sensors. So the sensors are the tools to collect the data from a certain device. And of course, this information has to be managed. And therefore, we have different sensor states in place to show if a device is up and running. This would be on the top left side, the green status, or if it is down. This would be the top right side. And in between, we also came up with a few sensor states that might be interesting. I want to continue with the yellow one, the warning state, because between the green state, everything is up and running, in the down state, on the very extreme side, there are different, let's say, layers of gray, and customers shall be able to decide when a warning is be sent out to manage a problem before something breaks. So that's the purpose of this state, to send out a warning before something breaks. An interesting one is also the orange one, which is the unusual sensor. With the unusual sensor, PRTG is able to detect anomalies and correlations. So let's say there's a downward trend in one sensor and the same pattern applies for a different sensor, then PRTG sends a notification to the IT admin to see, hey, there can be a correlation and it might be worth looking into it. So when it comes to analyzing the network, this sensor can be very useful. Overall, we see monitoring not just as a reactive approach of something breaks and you can fix it, which is nice for the admin already, but we also see it as something proactive where the network can be analyzed on the way to the red state to ideally prevent the red state at the end. And the sensor statuses, as well as our notification system, is prepared in a way that there's always a flow of information and no lack of information. And also our PRTG notifications and all types of them come with every PRTG license. It can be notifications when a sensor goes into a certain sensor state that I presented you in the previous slide. So when it goes into a certain state, it can be sent out via SMS, email, push notification, different ways. It can even execute program just to make sure that the downtime is acknowledged here. And we are very flexible here in terms of at what sensor state a notification goes out, also who receives the notification. In the first place, it can be the admin, but when there's downtime for an hour, it maybe even goes out to the management to be aware of, hey, there seems to be a real problem. And also when a problem is fixed, notifications can be sent out. And the beauty about PRTG is you can customize it your own way. So whoever is interested in such information receives the information, also avoiding an overflow of just notifications going out. So the PRTG notifications are a very important tool because measuring is the one thing, but of course, being notified to fix a problem is the next step here. When it comes to user interfaces, PRTG has a few things to offer as well. The most common tool to use is the HX web interface where the customers log in via their browser. We also have the PRTG desktop app, so a software that is can be opened via the desktop, and our mobile apps. The mobile apps come also with every PRTG license and can be a very important tool for IT admins that are out of office, for example. Let's say there's an incident on the weekend and the IT admin is able to get this information on their mobile device. They can see, hey, is this something I have to go into the office now, or can I just acknowledge the alarm and fix the problem Monday morning when I'm back in the office? So there you can see it can be individualized how to approach certain alarms, and with PRTG they can either have it directly on their computer or on their mobile apps to also be aware 24/7 of what is going on in their networks. Also nice is the feature of creating maps with PRTG. This is something that creates a link and can be shared, let's say, also on a screen in the office, and can be very granular in terms of its information being shared. On the left side, we have this traffic light system of different tools in the company to see if they are up and running or not. So we have here, for example, in the green state, the ERP system, and the e-commerce tool is in the yellow state. So there is a warning status going on. This is not a very technical overview, so it can be a dashboard for the management specifically, where they say, okay, I want to see what the status of our different divisions is at the moment, without going in too much detail. But the maps can, of course, be adapted to the needs of our customers. So let's say there's a map that requires more technical information, then this is also no problem. Customers have all the freedom to create those maps, as many as they want. And yeah, I think also a nice tool of visualizing the data, because collecting the data is always one thing, but you also want to transport and share information, and the notifications as well as the maps, I think, are a very cool and strong tool for this. with PRTG, we also have reporting in place. So when there are SLA reportings needed, then this can also be done with PRTG. The beauty here also is that we have raw data that can be shared, as PRTG comes with its own database and raw data is stored within the tool. And as you can see, and me introducing the different features that come with PRTG, so it's a monitoring solution where all features come in every license. There are no modules or add-ons that need to be bought. Once a PRTG license is bought, this unified monitoring approach applies also for its feature set, so everything comes with. We have unlimited remote probes to monitor remote locations. That's also a tool that comes with every PRTG license. I know that from competitors, for example, that monitoring remote locations will be charged as an add-on with PRTG. It's included. And also failover clusters in place. You can see the licensing, and we will look into it in more detail in a few minutes. It's very transparent as it's only based on the sensors, which directly translates into how many devices need to be monitored. And the features come all with. We even have all the features included in our freeware. So it's really just determined by how many sensors a customer wants to use. We also have a free a trial in place. The trial also comes with every features and for 30 days unlimited amount of sensors. So if you are curious of trying out PRTG, then I think that's a very strong tool to experience the real feature set. PRTG also comes with an auto discovery. So once you install PRTG, within a few minutes, you get your first monitoring results. To familiarize with the topic of monitoring also, if this is a new topic for you. So a tool with a strong feature set, and we want to now look into the positioning of PRTG Network Monitor. So where does it fit into the market? And we introduced monitoring as a topic of integrated and connected devices. So it's not just IT monitoring that we do, but the many other different topics that come with it. Also now in this home office phase that we slid into due to the pandemic, it's also possible to monitor with PRTG like Teams and Zoom. And we further develop also solutions to monitor smart buildings. CCTV cameras are here a big topic, and other critical devices that are out of the IT world. So PRTG is the unified monitoring solution to monitor anything. And monitoring used to be a brickwork of different topics, like there was monitoring servers, printers, firewalls, virtual machines, and so on. And we see PRTG as a combination of everything. So PRTG is the unified monitoring solution, also to monitor every aspect of the IT infrastructure or the infrastructure in general. And it can help rationalize and centralize the information because customers might have hardware from different vendors, and PRTG is vendor agnostic, so it brings together all information from the different vendors into one dashboard, which makes it easy to understand and fighting complexity, because the different vendors, they might have their individual monitoring solution, but having everything at one glance is a very important, especially in those diverse infrastructures at the moment, a very important tool to gain an overview. With PRTG, on-prem and cloud-based services can be monitored, and overall it reduces outages and optimizes the network also for the future. So that's a very critical point also that I want to transport to you, is that PRTG is not just monitoring and it helps you fixing something, but also for the future, it's a tool to prepare the network. So it will prevent outages in the future. IT admins and managers will be alerted whenever something breaks to further optimize the network and improve the services, because overall it translates also into the business success of a company. And a running network saves a lot of time, because if there is downtime, let's say on a web shop, and a company is highly depending on this web shop, then there's no time to make money, which is directly connected to the next point, the save money part. it's not just save money in keeping the business up and running, but it's also resource allocation that is important. So save time means that IT admins can work on other projects, and save money means that IT admins or other resources don't have to fix problems, but can be busy with expanding their business. And at the end, it saves nerves for everyone, not just for the people directly involved into IT projects, but also for the management and the customers that need to be happy. So PRTG in this field is covering all monitoring features in one solution and a central monitoring solution for the companies out there. We see ourselves also as an all-rounder to focus many of the aspects. There are monitoring solutions that are very specific about certain topics, and PRTG is really the one unified monitoring solution. So the unified word is a very important here to cover the most aspects that monitoring could cover. And we have a strong focus on usability, a broad feature set, and the flexibility also to adapt to individual customer needs. Usability is something, especially in the field of monitoring, it can be very complex. And with PRTG, you have a tool that once you download it and run the auto discovery, you get your first monitoring results. And also in a way to continue setting up new sensors, we tried to make it as easy as possible, as user-friendly as possible. I think a very outstanding point for PRTG here. And the difference to other solutions is the broad feature set instead of in-depth functionality. We have one solution and license instead of different suites, which means, and we look into the licensing in a few minutes, it makes it very easy and transparent. So when, as a sales manager, I talk about the licensing, that's covered in a few minutes because it's really very easy and transparent. And this also gives the customer the confidence that there's nothing shady in the background going on or something. Yeah, so the licensing is simple and fair. Then it's one solution for everything. This unified aspect is something I want to emphasize here. We monitor hardware, bandwidth, applications, all you can imagine when it comes to the IT aspect as well as the IoT world. So covering the full range of monitoring, and especially in a world where data becomes more and more important, I think PRTG can play a key role to monitor and cover all those aspects. We work together with many vendors to have out-of-the-box sensors, so that's just plug and play. Let's say you have a Cisco device, we have a Cisco sensor in place, then you just connect the device with the sensor and monitoring data comes through in a few moments. You just have to individually set your thresholds, because when things shall be in a warning state or in a down state, that's something we want the customers to do by themselves, because they might have values they have in mind already. That's something we cannot suggest. And then the information comes through. And it's not just for Cisco devices, but also VMware, Microsoft, Oracle, you name it, all the big IT players we have out-of-the-box sensors for. And PRTG, I mentioned it, is applicable for all industries. So manufacturing, government, we have many, many customers. And I saw on a previous slide from Multipoint the different customers they're working with. So there you could already see in how many spaces they work, and PRTG is definitely a fit for all those verticals too. On our website, we also want to show that PRTG is this one solution for everything. And here you can see a screenshot of it. And we have a solutions page where you can see industry solutions, so in what vertical are we active, and also IT solutions. If there's a specific IT topic that needs to be targeted, then this is something you can look into. It directly leads on landing pages to describe those topics in a little more detail. But overall, it's about monitoring traditional IT infrastructure and, of course, all the other topics that we are heading in: healthcare, industrial, cloud monitoring, CCTV monitoring, and many more. At the moment, we are also heading into the monitoring of buildings, for example. So that's something where we are heading in the future, and there's much more to come. And I also invite you to look into our roadmap to see what comes next with PRTG and also our different other products that we are having. So PRTG is easy to implement, and we have those out-of-the-box sensors for the different vendors that I mentioned. But of course, IT infrastructures can be very individual, and therefore we also have an IP in place that allows integration of new sensors very easily. And that's very easy already, but that's also something that we're developing for the future to make integration of third-party tools more and more easy. So let's look into the licensing. I a few times mentioned that it's pretty simple, and I also want to show you now how simple it actually is. We have licenses from, I want to start PRTG 500 to 5000, so we have the numbers here. And those numbers show the amount of sensors that can be deployed with those licenses. So the PRTG 500 allows 500 sensors to be set up by one core server installation. And the beauty is that the customer can decide how to distribute those sensors. And 500 sensors might be a little abstract at first. So to translate this into the language of devices, we say it's around 5 to 10 sensors that are needed to monitor one device. So if we take the worst case scenario with the PRTG 500, 50 devices can be monitored already. And the same rule applies then up to PRTG 1000, 2500, and the 5000 license. The next license in this list is the PRTG XL1. So we got rid of the number here. Why? Because it allows to deploy unlimited amount of sensors on one core server installation. And again, all the features come with it. As the scalability from a technical point of view, so from a licensing point of view, unlimited amount of sensors, but from a technical point of view, there are some limitations because of the load on the core server. So we recommend 10,000 sensors per core server. If there's an environment that exceeds this limit, we introduce the PRTG Enterprise license, which is a subscription-based license. And in this license, we got rid of the core server limitation of the previous licenses. So here it's really possible to scale into unlimited amount of sensors also from a technical point of view. So if you're interested in this license, then this is the license to go with. In between, the upgrade path is pretty simple. I want to give you an example of the PRTG 1000, 2500. So as a customer, you decide to go with a PRTG 1000 because you start in one department or you first want to test a few things with PRTG before further investing into it. But soon you realize, I have to extend my sensor count because PRTG is a useful tool and I want to integrate more devices. Then you don't have to buy a fully new license, but the upgrade path is made in a very fair and simple way also, that there's only the price difference between the PRTG 1000 and the 2500 that needs to be paid. So it makes it very attractive to also start with a smaller license at the beginning and then gradually grow as the monitoring grows. And also when it comes to the data that is stored, it's just replacing a license key and all the information and the settings will remain. So there's no downtime or anything, no threat in this regard. So the licensing is pretty simple, and also the upgrade path, I think, is a very nice and fair tool. So overall, we can say we have a simple and fair licensing with PRTG, and also a simple scalability when we think about the upgrade path. The perpetual licenses, so PRTG 500 to XL1, come with maintenance, and this maintenance can be renewed on a frequent basis. We have maintenance packs of 12, 36, and 60 months, which is 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years. And with active maintenance, customers are able to download the latest update of PRTG and have access to our premium support team. With the subscription license, of course, that's included with every subscription period. So there's no individual license maintenance pack that needs to be purchased. Our commercial customers, we always ask, how happy are you with the solution? And at the end of this presentation, I want to show you our customer feedback that we received so far. And you can see that a significant number is recommending PRTG a lot. Why is that? It's reliable, so it's collecting the data, but it's also very easy to use. So customers with PRTG are not frustrated. They get their information, and they also have easy access to information either through our technical support, our website. We have a very sophisticated documentation, and also our partners locally support us and our customers with any question they have. Therefore, we have happy customers out there. And at the very beginning of the presentation, I was showing you the impressive number of 300,000 installations worldwide. I think the information of the amount and the happiness go kind of hand in hand here. So at the beginning or at the end of my presentation, sorry, I want to thank you all for listening. We are now able to jump into the Q&A and chat to see what questions you have and to respond to your questions. Thank you very much. And let's see what is in the chat. Irene, do you have questions that were already responded?
So we do not have any questions in the chat, but the floor is open if you would like for us to respond to a particular question.
Thank you, team from here. شباب، في حدا عنده أسئلة، في حدا حابب يستفسر عن شيء، هي فرصة منيحة، خصوصا البي ار تي جي والمونيتورينج. وانا بعرف في السوق الفلسطيني في كثير طلبات وفي كثير احتياج لهي النوع من السوليوشن، فمش غلط حتى اللي عنده اوريدي اللايسنس وبده يسال اسئله على الاستخدام او على الفيتشرز الجديده، ده اذا مش غلط. سقوط علامه الرضا. Arya, do you want to add something, or Vishal?
I just want to thank everybody and tell you all that we are here and we are willing to support you for every requirement.
We have here a comment from David. Dear me, David, I work with this excellent software and I think every IT manager must. I agree with you, absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you very much for your feedback.
Dala Abu Khazna, just one question about support for Nutanix. This is a good question.
I can quickly respond to that. So we now have out-of-the-box sensors for you to also monitor your Nutanix. Basically, I will share with you the link so that you can have.
Yes, please. This is very important regarding Nutanix. And we have in the Q&A question: do we need to install agent on the device for PRTG?
That is the beauty about PRTG. It is completely agentless. It's going to save you so much time. You just need to install the software, give the credentials, and it will talk to the devices in your network. So completely agentless.
Super.
Very good. Yes. I don't see anything else.
There's a question there. I understand that it's monitoring, so related to applications and database. Not related.
There's a question here. How does PRTG affect the network performance on your network?
Let me have a look at that. How does PRTG affect the network performance on your network? So this is a question that we get a lot from customers saying, okay, is PRTG going to consume so much bandwidth in addition to what I am paying for? The beauty here is for the different sensors, it is a very, very small amount of bandwidth that PRTG will use. It's in kilobytes or megabytes, so this is nothing to really worry about. I hope that answers your question, Michael. Perfect.
Okay.
Anyone else has any questions or comments?
Anyway, if there is another or maybe later on a question, just send me or send Arya or anyone from Multipoint and we can share it with PRTG and then share it back, getting the answer. Again, we are PRTG distributor. So you can just contact us anytime.
Yes, and we have qualified engineers to provide you with all necessary support that is needed.
There is another question here in Q&A from Mr. Michel.
So the question is, what DICOM/HL7 version does PRTG support? So far, we've been able, for our different healthcare customers, they're able to monitor the different versions. So basically, it's compatible with different versions of devices that speak this respective protocol. Maybe just one question here. Are you actively monitoring healthcare sensors? This could be something interesting for us to maybe have a discussion with you, Michael. If you could just let us know via the chat. Are you actively monitoring healthcare?
Who did ask that? Michelle. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Actually, I have a question. Do you have any plan to have cloud-only deployment? Any, as it says, offering?
Dennis, would you like to respond to that one?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
If PRTG or Paessler, have any plans to have cloud deployment, SaaS offering?
Mm-hmm. So what we have is a hosted monitoring solution. There's something, but we don't have a partner program for this one as of now. But something we also promote on our website. I quickly shared the link for this solution too. And something that we at the moment further develop to also target this group. So there will be a partner program soon. That's point one. And second, we also try to integrate more and more features that you know from the Perpetual licenses, from the licenses I introduced also in this presentation, into the features of the hosted version to make it also a strong subscription-based license.
Okay.
So that's coming up now step by step. So you see, we're not just developing our classic PRTG network monitoring solution, but also adapt to different customer needs. So there's more and more coming also this year, and stuff we have on our roadmap.
Yeah. And my question is, there is a customer who don't want to deploy anything on their on-prem infrastructure. So how we can help them?
Okay, I was going to reply to that as well, in addition to what Dennis shared. So it is possible to host your PRTG in the cloud. For example, for my demo environment that I have here, it is hosted on AWS, but we also do have customers that are hosting their PRTG in several other cloud, let's say vendor providers such as Azure or Google Cloud. So it is fully possible. And what you need to do then is, the remote probes, if you'd like to monitor different aspects on your prem, it is still possible to have the remote probes deployed, but you have your core server securely in the cloud. So it's not a game stopper. Yeah.
Super. Yani, this means PRTG doesn't offer this as a service on their own cloud.
So we are not a cloud provider, let's say, but we we have tested and seen that it is possible to have PRTG hosted, with, let's say, the big cloud. The advantage with this is, you have all the advantages such as high availability or resilience that, the cloud provider is taking the risk on their behalf, let's say.
Thank you. Okay, see, there is no more question. Again, if someone have question, you can drop it and you can ask, send email, calls, and etc. And we are here for you. Thank you everybody everywhere for joining this webinar for PRTG. Just a minute, we have here some kind of question. What model can PRTG serve? Is it related to, sorry, I lost. Where is the question? Is it related to network operating center or service operation center that includes both security and network operating center?
So the question is a bit of a mix and match, but I will respond to it this way. So what model can PRTG serve? PRTG is a network monitoring solution, but it is going to cut across different aspects of your infrastructure. So if we are talking about you're monitoring your databases, you're monitoring IoT, you're monitoring virtual machines, if you would like to monitor different security aspects such as CCTV, printers, and so on, it is really an all-round, all-inclusive monitoring solution. I hope that responds to your question, Mohammed. Okay, perfect.
Perfect. Okay, so anyone else has any questions? If not, maybe we can wrap it up this time. You can always contact Multipoint for any questions you need.
Exactly.
And we will be happy to provide answers to everyone.
Awesome. Also from the Paessler side, thank you very much for joining the session. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, customers and partners, and Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you,
Have a good one,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.